Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to this live stream. This is only my second ever solo live stream, and my goal is to try and do this hopefully once a month. So I only advertised it an hour ago or so. So I guess nobody is probably going to watch it live. But if you do come on and you're around, say hello. Um, do you know, I've had a really interesting week this week with YouTube. So, for those that are watching on replay, maybe if you've come across this and you're wondering who the heck I am, I'm Bev Thorogood. I am a late diagnosed ADHDer who started my business. So, I became an entrepreneur at the age of 52, 6.5 years ago. And I started my YouTube channel, this one anyway, about a year and a bit ago. So, um, it's been a bit of a struggle, and this week has been a bit of an eye opener because I was really this close to wanting to throw the towel in on YouTube. I think I totally underestimated how much effort goes in. Well, not so much. No, I don't think I underestimated how much effort goes into it, because I always knew it was going to take some time to get good at doing this and get comfortable on camera and to learn editing and filming skills, and I'm still on that journey. I can see somebody watching. If you're there, please say hello and leave a comment. It'd be lovely to see if who's joining me. And I knew it was going to be a big journey and a learning curve, but I wasn't expecting how long it would take to grow. I don't think it's taken me this long on any other social channel to grow. So I was having a bit of a wobble earlier this week, but I had some amazing conversations as a result of a very raw video that I put out about wanting to quit, and found this wonderful community of midlife YouTubers that I didn't even know existed. So it's I don't know. I've had a full change of heart, I guess, and decided that maybe I will stick this out and give it my best shot, because actually I really enjoy the platform. I love YouTube. I love watching YouTube, and I'm really enjoying learning how to do YouTube, learning how it all works. So maybe I was just having a wobble. But this live stream, I just wanted to come and what I wanted to talk about really was changing career in later life, because I have a theory and I wanted to share it with you, and I'd love to get your thoughts on whether you've experienced this, if this is something you agree with, or if you have a different opinion, that's absolutely fine as well. But I I have this feeling that everybody, men and women, reach a point somewhere in midlife. Now, how you just define that is going to be different for everybody, but anywhere for me, it's sort of anywhere from sort of early 40s, late 30s, early 40s, right up to maybe mid sort of 60s to mid 60s, which is quite a big, broad age bracket. But for me, that seems about right for midlife, because the expected life, our life expectancy, let's get that the way around, we're realistically looking at sort of 70 to maybe 100 these days. I think that's the expectation, is that if we get somewhere between 70 and 100, we're doing all right. So that would make sense for me for that sort of midlife bracket. And I have a theory that everybody reaches a turning point. And I call it a turning point because I feel like it's we come to a point in life where we have to make a decision, and it happens because, and this is my theory, because we get to an age where we look back at what we've achieved in life and where we are. We take a bit of a look at the status quo, and we realize that actually we've possibly got as much life in front of us as we've had behind us. And it's this point of evaluation, and we reevaluate our achievements in life. We reevaluate whether we're heading in the direction we want to go. I think it's the reason why we see quite a lot of midlife divorces, because I think people reach this point. I'm not divorced. Well, I have been, but not this time. In fact, it's my 30th wedding anniversary on Monday. So doing all right this time round. So if you're watching, please do pop a comment and say hello. Let me know who's out there, so it doesn't feel quite so weird just sitting talking to a webcam. Um, and I think for me, my turning point came somewhere around the turning 50 um, point in my life. And it wasn't a big kind of bells and whistles aha moment. It wasn't anything like that. It was more a kind of a gradual recognition that I was getting older, that my body and my life was changing, my thoughts were changing. And I think with the onset of things like perimenopause, which I realized looking back happened long before I hit 50, although I didn't know it. I think I had this growing realization that maybe I hadn't done the things in life that I wanted to do. And I look back now, I was diagnosed with ADHD about 18 months ago. And I think this has had a big part of kind of the whole turning point for me. Although it wasn't diagnosed, I didn't recognize it as that. But I think I realized for a number of reasons that I'd never really been living the kind of life that I probably wanted to live. I think I'd always lived really a very safe life. I worked in the public sector, I was a civil servant. It all felt very safe. And if I'm honest, intensely boring. And that's a bit unfair, really, because I had 32 years working in the civil service and made some great friends and enjoyed a lot of the roles that I had, but none of them ever felt like it was a good fit. Always felt like a bit of a square peg in a round hole. I don't know if anybody will relate to this. And looking back now, knowing that I have ADHD, that probably makes a lot of sense, because I always felt a bit, I don't know, constrained, I think. But I never really had the confidence to step out and do the things that I wanted to do. I got married first time round very young. I was married at 20 and then divorced at 25, and I remarried at 27. And my husband was military, so we had this very safe, contained lifestyle. And I think when I turned 50, I can't pinpoint exactly when, but somewhere around that 50-year age point, I think I had this gradual sort of reaching of this turning point. And I think with that, I didn't give up my job straight away. I did have a huge amount of issues with menopausal symptoms that now looking back I realize were probably aggravated by my ADHD. But I'd moved into a new role, and I just felt this real sort of sense of being a square peg in a round hole. Hello, the number one ladies club. What is your name? Long. So let me know your name. Um, but thank you very much. It's lovely to see you here. And you're actually one of the ladies that I was just talking about earlier who really helped me come to come to the realization that this is something that I actually do want to keep doing. Imogen, hi Imogen. So yes, I had this kind of gradual realization that I wanted something to be different, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And it started, I think, with focusing on my health and fitness, because in my 40s, I've always, probably since my 20s, always kept myself reasonably fit and healthy, but it was slipping. I put weight on, and I think by the time I got to 50, I was feeling a bit frumpy and needed to do something. And I went full pelt into a wave as much as you want. I've just gone full pelt. I went full pelt into this sort of massive diet and fitness regimen and got very, very fit. And that triggered this kind of, oh, let's do something with this. Let's try and maybe start coaching people. I'd been a fitness instructor anyway since I was in my mid-20s. And I started working with some friends and colleagues, helping them with their health and fitness. Then I retrained, I upskilled to be a personal trainer. I was like one of the oldest personal trainers on my PT course. That didn't bother me. I really enjoyed it. I trained to be a nutrition coach, trained to be a behavioral change coach. And I just had all of this kind of, I've got to learn stuff. I've got to learn stuff. And I did that over about 2 years. And my husband was just coming out of the Air Force after a very long career in the Air Force. And I think when he left, we'd always worked for the military together, him in uniform, me as a civilian. And I think, although I can't pinpoint the exact date, I love it when people have this kind of moment of clarity and they can recite it in a story. And that didn't really happen for me. But I did have this sort of awakening where I thought, our lives are changing substantially. The safety net of the military that we'd had was going to end as he came out of the Air Force. And I think, if I'm honest, there was a little bit of resentment about the fact that he was going to be able to start something new and do something different. And I was kind of stuck in this very safe and but pretty boring job. And I think I felt a little bit of kind of FOMO, if I'm honest. And anyway, so he left his job in the October, and I gave up my job the following April. And I didn't really know what I was going to do, but I decided to work for myself. And I think I've realised since I'm probably unemployable, if I'm honest. Now I've got so used to being my own boss and do my own thing. And over the last 6.5 years, I've built a training business working with the corporate sector, going in and helping them to understand the impact of menopause on working women, which in the UK has seen a massive sort of shift over the last 3 or 4 years. And I was probably a few years ahead of the game in terms of getting out there and talking to businesses about this. And I just found this incredible freedom in working for myself. And so many people have said, God, that must have been so terrifying, changing career at the age of 52, giving up a safe job and going it on your own. And it's the weirdest thing. It never felt scary. It hasn't always felt easy. It hasn't always been plain sailing, but it never felt scary. And I think there are a number of reasons for that. Probably one, because we weren't relying on my income from the financial point of view. So that made a huge difference. But I think I've just, right from the moment I made the decision to work for myself, have felt this enormous sense of finally found the right box for me to be in. I didn't feel like that round peg in a square hole anymore. And the big thing, I suppose, the questions I've asked myself about this is, should I have done this sooner? Should I have made the jump in my 30s or even in my 20s? And I think the answer is no. And I think it's because I wouldn't have had the confidence or the wisdom or the experience or the knowledge to be able to go out there and build my own business then in the way I have now. And I think we underestimate, as we get older, the amount of knowledge that we have. And give me a comment if you agree with this. I think we underestimate the level of wisdom that we have in our midlife years. And for this, I guess, from midlife, I'm talking probably 50 plus. I think we have this paradox that happens when we hit the perimenopause and menopause. And I think it's this kind of a paradox between losing confidence on the one hand and gaining an enormous amount of confidence on the other hand. I think we sometimes feel that our age can hold us back, but at the same time, we get this confidence around not not given a I can't swear really, can I, on a live stream? Not caring as much about what people think. And it's that weird kind of contradiction. And although I lost a lot of confidence in my job, which is why I ended up leaving work as well, that was a big part of why I left my job, was feeling like I was struggling with menopause. Actually, there was an element of confidence there as well that kind of pushed me to think, come on, you've done enough in your life, you've got enough knowledge, you know you can learn new stuff, you can do this. And that was so it was just like liberating to know that I could get out there and learn new stuff. I'm just looking at the comments. I'm just going to share this. Let's have a look. Imogen said, I found your tutorial the best I've watched. Oh, thank you. As a lady of 67 whose brain doesn't download information as fast as it used to, uh, the way and pace which you teach is just perfect. Thank you so much. That's really, really kind. And maybe it's because my brain has slowed down a bit as well. I don't know. I do think, though, that there is a lie that we tell ourselves as we get older, and that is that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I fundamentally don't believe that. I think there's a confident I keep coming back to confidence. There's a confidence issue about learning new stuff that we feel we can't. But I've learned more in the last 6.5 years, learning how to market myself, learning how to do my business finances, although I have a good bookkeeper and a good accountant. I've learned how to get comfortable on camera. I've learned how to film videos. I've learned how to edit videos, how to set up and host and run a podcast. I've learned how to run online courses. I've learned how to, I mean, we did loads of this anyway, which was forced on us as we went through COVID, didn't we? But I think the fear is that we can't do this. We have loads of wisdom and we don't really use it, and we don't trust ourselves that we can learn new stuff. And I fundamentally believe we can. And do you know, it's an interesting one as well, because I think this is why I'm so keen to do YouTube, and why I think so many of us midlifers should get on this channel, even if it's not to monetize, even if it's not to have it as part of your business, but just to learn the skills and to keep the grey matter working. And I can just see my darling brother has just joined me, and he is one of my YouTube inspirations. So hello, nice to see you. This is the wrong way around. I'm normally lurking on his live streams. So where was I going with this? I've completely lost my train of thought now. I was talking about this turning point, wasn't I? Yes. And the fact that we I think we all reach it, but I think not everybody is willing to take the turn. And it comes back to that. I never felt scared. I never felt like I'd made the wrong decision. Things I would probably do differently if I was going to change career again in midlife. No intention of doing it again, but if I was going to do it again, I wouldn't just jump ship, which is what I did. I literally made up my mind I was going, and I handed my notice in, and 3 months later I was gone. And I didn't really have a plan. I'd done all of these qualifications and I had some idea of what I wanted to do, but I didn't have a plan. And that's not unusual for me, because I am a bit impulsive. That's a blooming understatement. I am very impulsive. But I'm also very gut led. I am very intuitive in my decision making, and I know intuitively if I'm doing the right thing or not. And if I think back, all of the things that I've done in my life that didn't work out well, I intuitively knew it was wrong. It wasn't the right decision. And even things like my first marriage, I can probably confidently say that the 6 months before I actually got married, my gut was telling me, "You're making a mistake. You're making a mistake." But I didn't want to let anybody down. I didn't wanna let my mum and dad down because my mum absolutely loved my ex-husband. And I think I kind of felt I had to go ahead with it. And I look back at other decisions that I've made, and I know that when that gut feeling isn't right. Let me know, if are you gut led? Does this resonate with you? Because it absolutely does with me. And I also know that all of the decisions I've made that sort of from a rational point of view didn't make sense, but the gut was telling me they were the right thing to do, have been the best decisions ever. Leaving work without anything really to go to was probably, if you wrote it down on paper, not the most logical, rational decision to make. But I've never regretted it. And it's always felt like it was absolutely the right thing to do. And if I was gonna do this again, I would try and curb my impulsivity, and it wouldn't stop me doing it, it wouldn't stop me making the change, but I think I'd try and plan a little bit more. I would have got I would have had a clearer business plan, probably employed a business coach much, much sooner to help me really get clear on what I was gonna be doing, and I would have probably doubled down on saving some money. So I had some capital. I had a little bit, but I didn't have a huge amount of capital when I started the business. And actually, nowadays, the barrier to entry to getting into starting a business is pretty low, unless you're planning on going and building a brick and mortar type business where you need premises and you need inventory and you need, staff. But as a one person business, the barriers for entry are very, very low from a financial point of view, but it's not nothing. You need some sort of capital. So if I was gonna do this again, I would definitely probably save up a bit more money and do it with a better foundation to get me started. Um, Imogen, prior to retirement, I had been self-employed all my life and don't think I could have ever worked for an employer. I think just impulsive I think when we talk about impulsive decisions, sometimes people can think that means reckless decisions, and I don't know that they're always reckless. Some I think it's a good thing. It's one of my ADHD traits that I've grown to really love and see as a strength and a superpower, is this ability to make quick decisions, and again, as I said, trust my gut, trust that actually that impulsive decision is going to be a good one. Where it does let me down is things like impulsive spending, impulsive shopping. Those sort of impulsive decisions aren't so great. But I think when you've got your own business, that being able to make impulsive, fast decisions. What is it they say? You know, fail fast and move on. I think that's the way I've always been with anything that I've had to kind of try and do, rather than sit and trying to figure it all out first and then do it. I kind of dive in and what is it? What's it? There are loads of sayings that kind of sum this up, and I can't think of any of them. Is it like jump and make the decision while you pull the parachute cord? You're kind of making the decisions on the fall. Um, I think it's very impressive that anybody goes straight into business on their own and does it right from an early age, because I definitely wouldn't have been ready when I was younger, not even remotely. I know, Brian, you started your own business pretty early on. Actually, you weren't very old when you went self-employed either, were you? I'm trying to think how old you were. So you came out the Air Force after 12 years? Let me know. I can't remember how long it was while you were before you went self-employed. What is really interesting though, when I think about that turning point and changing career, the idea of getting another job when I left my civil service career, I never once thought it would be a career change as such. I never thought I would want to go out and start looking for jobs. Um, I think I instinctively knew that it was time for me to have autonomy over my own time, have autonomy over my own decisions, not have to be dependent or compliant with somebody else's terms and kind of, you know, telling me what to do. Um, yeah, I can't imagine working for anybody else. Just I can't imagine that at all. So, kind of rambling a little bit. So that kind of midlife turning point, I don't know. It's just a theory of mine that I think we all hit it, and I would love to know, do you resonate with that? Did you feel you had any kind of epiphany almost when you reached that sort of midlife bracket? I think I think it comes for different people at different ages, and I suppose retirement probably triggers that change, this sense of what are we going to do next? And for me, I didn't want to wait until I was 67 before I made that change. So yeah, around about 34 years old. Oh, I thought you were younger than that. Yes, I remember you having your IT business. Um, and you're the archetypal entrepreneur, really, aren't you? You have lots of different fingers in lots of pies with your music, your professional singing, your photography, the IT stuff. There's been so many, um, I guess, so many different areas that you've sort of tapped into. I don't think I've never. You're way more talented than I am in so many ways, anyway. But I think I've never had the confidence to go out and just try lots and lots of different things. And it's really interesting. Fitness was always the one thing that I felt, the fitness industry, understanding the science behind exercise physiology and things like that was always the thing that I felt I was really sort of strong in. And yet I never really pursued it when I was younger. And it was all to do with confidence. Brian, what you're saying, I'm a believer in impulsive decision making. You do need to know your onions to be successfully impulsive. Do I agree with that? I don't know if I fully agree with that, because sometimes I think you don't. I've got a sign. I don't know if you can see it behind there. It's going to be back to front, but it's a Martin Luther King. You don't have to see the whole staircase to take the first step. So I didn't really know anything about running a business, and that was an impulsive decision. So it's an interesting one. I think what I did know, though, okay, let's have a think about what you've just said, because maybe there is balance here. So what I did know is that I'm a damn good teacher, and I had a lot of experience in teaching, and I knew that I was very confident on stage or in a classroom. I knew that I could manage a classroom environment very, very well. Um, Hi, Wainsley. Yeah, just seen you come in. Um, I'm just going to pull this one up. This is the first time I've ever shown comments on a live stream, so I feel like I'm looking all over the place. So yeah, maybe you're right, Brian. Maybe I did know my onions, and I was playing on my strengths. Maybe that's why I've absolutely loved being self-employed, because it was playing to my strengths. Um, Wayne said he's worked for the same employer for 16 years. At 40, I left for a career as an online creative entrepreneur. And at 48, I'm gearing up to change careers again. Oh, what are you going to do this time? I love that title, by the way. Online creative entrepreneur. That is a beautifully broad title that could lead in so many directions. Wayne, just let me know. I think I was watching your channel. Are you the guy that's literally been posting daily a story every day for 365 days. Let me know if I've got the right person, because I'm sure it is the leap year. You took a year to grow. Is that right? Uh, let's have a look. Brian saying, yes, you didn't see the whole staircase, but you did understand what a step or a stair is. I guess so. I guess so. And I think my ADHD means I love novelty. We have very interest-driven brains, so anything that feels novel and new and exciting it's a real draw, and I think that's what I definitely felt when I first started my business. Interestingly, when for the first in the first year, because like most businesses, it would be lovely, and if you listen to the gurus, you'd think this happens all the time, that you'd dive into self-employment and suddenly you'd have, people knocking your door down to come and work with you, and it doesn't work like that. And although I did all right in my first year, it certainly wasn't that brilliant. And I remember taking a Saturday job. I was like the oldest Saturday girl ever, um, showing people around houses, as an working for an estate agent. And even just that, just one day a week, being responsible to somebody else, to be in certain places at certain times, found really hard. um Imogen saying she started her interior design business in late 40s. Are you the creative type? I would love to do interior design, but I have no artistic flair at all. Which was very successful. But is the sleepless nights, is that because you were trying to meet other people's expectations and other people's needs? Because I think that would be really hard. My daughter trained to be a makeup artist a few years ago, and she never got that business off the ground because she was too stressed about not getting it right and being judged, which is interesting. Um, Podiatry. There's a pivot from interior design to podiatry. That explains the lines that you got given at school. I did a video a week or so ago, and talking about the fact that we had lines when we were kids, and I can still remember this line I was made to write 100 times. And I know Imogen, you said your line yours was even more technical than mine. uh Wayne's saying, hi, yes, I've been posting daily to try and figure this all out. It's been an enlightening self-reflective exercise. I'm so impressed with you, because I don't know that I would have the ideas to come up with and to be able to talk every single day on camera. I'd be interested to know how you've done it. I'm going to go back and have another look at your channel, actually, Wayne, because I think I watched, I think it might have been day 100. I'm trying to remember what I was listening to. Um, how many days in are you of your leap year? Did you literally start on January the 1st, and is that where you're at? Let's have a look. No idea what you're gonna do next. I think it would be really, really hard to go back and work for somebody else when you've had that autonomy and that freedom. You know, we both my husband and I are now self-employed, and we've started to go to, like, a tea dance on a Tuesday afternoon, which makes me feel just like slightly old, although actually we're not the oldest in there. There are other people who are, sorry, we're not the youngest people in there. There are people who are younger than us. So although it feels like it's a really old thing to do, there are younger couples in there. But just having the time and the flexibility to be able to go and do our own thing, and know that we can catch up on work whenever we're ready. Obviously, my client work has to, I have to fit that in, but I get to choose when those clients book in, which is, it's a freedom I've never had before. So Wayne, let me know, how do you come up with your ideas to do a post every single day? Because that is so impressive. I struggle to think what I'm going to talk about, week by week. So, right, okay. I think I've probably talked for quite some time now. How are we doing? Oh, it's only 35 minutes. yeah, okay, it feels a bit longer than that. Um, I think I'm probably gonna wrap it up because I just more than anything want this week, the wobble that I had over whether or not to stick with my YouTube channel has opened the door. So many, it's funny, isn't it, that when you do something, especially if you that was another impulsive decision to post about the fact that I was thinking of quitting. But the unintended consequences of that was that I just got exposed to so many new midlife channels and I wasn't seeing them. And I don't know why. I've tried searching on YouTube for sort of midlife creators and over 50s creators, over 40s creators, and for some reason the search wasn't bringing an awful lot up. But that video that I did about the potentially quitting just opened me up to loads. It opened me up to Wayne, your channel. It opened me up to Imogen's channel. Beautiful Life Sage was another channel that I think she was already following me, but that tapped me into a whole load of new channels. And I just think, you know, when we're talking about the turning point and midlife and doing something different, realizing that this platform has a space for us older folks, does that not just make you feel so optimistic that we can, we can create this space and leave our legacy for future generations? I find it lovely. I find it fascinating. Um, Let me just check. Imogen saying I get drawn into shiny new hobbies, and the first thing I have to buy is absolutely everything. Uh, do you have ADHD? This is a very ADHD trait. As a podiatrist first and stayed a podiatrist until I retired. I pick it up on the bit about the shiny objects and the hobbies. I have got so much stuff in the loft from hobbies that I started, bought all the kit, talk about all the gear, no idea, and then got bored with the hobby. And I've still got the kit. And I don't want to get rid of it because I might get that novel kind of idea to go and do something again. Um, but yeah, absolutely. I'm a gadget person. So if you could see my YouTube setup here, I've got a webcam. I've got the OBSpot here as another webcam that my brother very kindly gifted to me. I must have half a dozen different microphones. I've got my proper camera here that I'm not using. I've got a GoPro over there, just like ludicrous amounts. And actually, most of it didn't even know how to use properly. But I just, yeah, dive in. If I start a new exercise regimen, or I get that boost of enthusiasm to start exercising again, I have to go and buy new trainers. I have to go and buy new kit, and it's such an ADHD thing. um Brian says, let me just read this. A lot depends upon your measure of success. We talked the other day, and success for me is doing a little enough to allow me to sit in the sunshine on a Mediterranean island drinking coffee. Yeah, you're the I guess you're that a few years older, and I know I mean, you are the absolute hobbyist as well, Brian, aren't you? So, loads of you go into things so deeply. And I know you're moving, hopefully, off to Cyprus very soon, and I will be there on holiday. Let's have a look. Previous, it was to make a good income. Yeah, and I think when money is taken out of the equation and you start to do things in life because they feel good, it's a much nicer place to be. The comments are coming in thick and fast. There must be an art to this. How do you keep up with all the comments? Because they relate to something that happened, that was said earlier on. Let's have a look. Wayne saying, my wife and I are also both self-employed and also enjoy our extra free time together. It makes such a difference. We've been, for 30 years we've been married on Monday, and this is the first time really this decade is the first time we've had free time to do things together. And actually, so like the dancing that we do is the first thing we've been able to do as a couple, because my husband's ultra fit and I wasn't, so we couldn't even run together or anything because he was too fast. um you're on day 216. Wow. I'm gonna go and binge watch, I think, all of your 216 days. I think that's incredible. The creative process became easier when I started doing the opposite of, now that is really interesting, because that was what I was talking about the other day when I wanted to quit, because the YouTube gurus seem to contradict each other, and you can get, well, I was getting myself completely wrapped up in knots trying to figure it all out. So I've decided now I'm just going to try and let go of what I should be doing, and maybe just try and do what feels good. And if it doesn't appeal to people, then that's fine. They can scroll on and watch something else, and hopefully I'll appeal to somebody and they'll want to stick around. And I think again I was getting bogged down in trying to watch all of the channels that teach you how to do YouTube, who I think, as good as they are probably a little bit out of touch in reality with what it's like when you're when you're just very first getting started, and maybe out of touch with our generation and what we want from our YouTube um, viewing. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Um, you should see my cupboards in my studio. Um, I wonder if there might be a bit of an ADHD-ish thing going on there, Imogen. Definitely, definitely some of the traits. Back to lurking as I'm enjoying everyone else's comments. That's lovely. Um, I got a bounce, but glad to have found your channel. Thank you so much. Oh, you got here through Life Sage. Well, wait, I'm going to catch all your stuff. In fact, I'm going to leave you all now and just say thank you very much for making my second ever solo YouTube live. More conversational than the last one. I still get really, really nervous about doing these, which is quite bizarre because I don't get nervous in many situations. I don't get nervous standing on stage talking to people. Public speaking is something I really enjoy doing, but for some reason, going live on YouTube has always filled me with this sort of knot of nerves. So thank you very much, everybody, for making it nice and easy for me. And I think I will wrap it up there and wish you all a lovely weekend. And thanks again for coming and joining me. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.